Okay, great. Okay. One of my, in the work I've done for the community, I spent 11 years as the chair of the Parks Committee and Community Board 1, and have worked closely with parks over the years. And I've worked with a lot of great commissioners for many years with Dottie Lewandowski, and we accomplished a lot, the capital projects and everything, particularly over the last 10 years is phenomenal. There's hardly a park in our area that hasn't been renovated. Now the mantle is being passed to a new commissioner, okay? And we'd like to invite a Queens Parks Commissioner, newly installed, Jackie Langsam.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Richard. And by the way, Mr. Melnick, Park uses 1 T for Hallett's. I'm really going to have to look into that and find out, from through our archives, whether or not we're spelling it correctly or not. But anyway, as Richard mentioned, my name is Jackie Langsam, and I am the Queens Parks Commissioner. For those of you who might not know me, I'd like to share a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Queens, and I've worked for parks in Queens since 1983. I've held many different positions at parks since the start of my 40-year career. My most recent position before taking on my role as the commissioner was Queens Chief of Operations, which I held for over 20 years. And I oversaw all the maintenance and operations for the borough's 7,700 acres of parkland. So I may be new in my current title, but I am quite familiar with Queens Parks. Tonight, I'm going to share with you some overall agency initiatives. I'm going to provide you with some specific updates to the Astoria community, and that'll include capital. I'll give you some information on events, and then we'll go from there. So some of you may have heard that on June 9th, Parks Commissioner Sue Donahue kicked off our new Let's Green New York City campaign with the Mayor Adams, and the cast of the Broadway musical Wicked. Let's Green NYC aims to expand engagement opportunities by encouraging volunteerism in parks throughout the city. The goal is to bring the benefits of stewardship to our communities and to the health and well-being of all of our park users. Volunteers really do make a tremendous difference in the care and protection of our green spaces. And we are very fortunate to have several extraordinary groups like your own, Richard, who embody the spirit of service. This past spring, Partnerships for Parks hosted 7 volunteer events at several local parks and playgrounds. We do have our Partnerships for Parks person on with us. So if there are any questions, we can also put those in the chat for partnerships. I'd also like to highlight our second great tree search. It's now underway in the city. New York Parks is once again, we're asking New Yorkers to identify trees of notable distinction. That could be the size, the species, historic significance, whatever you think. We are accepting nominations through July 15th. And all of these things that I'm going to reference, you can find on our website at www.parks.nyc.gov. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about some upcoming events in the community. We have, in keeping with the Astoria tradition, with the Central Astoria Local Development Corporation, with support from Council Member Tiffany Caban, we will have the fireworks at Astoria. That's on the 29th, and we're looking forward to it, and I'll see you all there. Additionally, we have the Met Opera at Socrates on June 28th. We have the Queensboro Dance Festival, which will be held at Athens Square on the 15th of July and at Queensbridge on September 3rd. We have National Night Out on August 1st, and that'll be at Ravenswood Playgrounds and at Astoria Park. We also, as I heard from Richard before coming to speak with you, that you were interested in some youth programs. We have Kids in Motion program at Astoria Heights Playground. That's Tuesday to Saturday, 10 to 6. New York City Parks and Recreation staff will be at the playground to promote outdoor fun, including organized sports, boards games, water games, and more. We hope to have a second Kids in Motion location up and running at Athens Square by July. Finally, we're proud to present this summer's Movies Under the Stars program. It'll be held at Astoria Heights on July 2nd, Queensbridge Park on July 21st, Athens Square on the July 23rd and August 27th, and Rainey Park on September 2nd. I also know how important Astoria Pool is to this community. Thankfully, through $18.5 million in mayoral funding, we were finally able to make several really much needed large scale improvements to the pool. Many of the features they reached their end of their service life. It's almost 90 years. The pool is getting an entirely new tub lining, a new deck, and an entirely new filtration system, much needed. We are going to work as quickly and as efficiently as possible. I actually did a tour recently. I think it was maybe a month and a half ago, with two deputy commissioners, one in charge of capital and one in charge of pools and all of our maintenance. We are doing everything we can, and I believe that the contractor is really doing a good job and moving as quickly as he possibly can. But we are working to have the pool reopened by the summer 2024 season so that it can continue to serve this community. We had recently renovated the spray shower adjacent to the pool. That will be open throughout the season. We really do understand how important this pool is to this community. In addition to Astoria Pool, there are several other capital project updates in your community. At Astoria Park, we'll be starting construction this fall on a project that includes newly paved pathways and benches around the Great Lawn, new picnic and game tables, new drinking fountains with bottle fillers, additional lighting. That's at a cost of $5.4 million. And that construction is estimated to be completed in fall 2024. At Hallett's Cove, which I also know is one of Rich's questions for me, the handball court reconstruction began in May, and it's expected to be completed in November. The work taking place in one section of the park so that we can keep the rest of the park open. It's only one portion of it. There's construction of a new administration building at Socrates Sculpture Park, also known as the Cubes. That began. It's expected to be completed in February of 24. The administration building is going to provide new administrative offices and indoor space for year-round community programming. I recently met the new interim executive director, Katie Dixon, and her team in May, and we are going to be working together hand in hand.
She'll be joining us actually in a few minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No, that's perfect. It's great.
I didn't mean to take her gun to the end. Sorry, Katie.
No.
Anyway, we're also working to reconstruct the seawall at Socrates Sculpture Park. That project is in design and it's expected to be completed in November. Rainey Park, I know, is another project you asked about. That's in procurement, and we hope to award the contract and begin construction in a few months. I think it's also important for me to tell you a little bit about staffing. So we're in decent shape right now. As a result of baseline increase for this current fiscal year, there are 2 additional full-time park staff members now assigned to Community Board 1. We've also hired an additional 5 full-time workers for a second shift at Astoria, Queensbridge, and Rainey Park. This is really great news. You may not sound it all to you, but I'm telling you, this is really good news. These are full-time workers. Fiscal year 23, we also received discretionary funding, and we hired seasonal staffing at Astoria and Athens. That is in addition to the seasonal staffing we always have each year. I am really thankful that you invited me to your meeting, that you were, I know that you wanted to get together as quickly as possible. I'm sorry about my broken foot way back in February, but I'm happy to, take any questions that you have. I am aware of some of the other questions that you had for me, and I don't know if you just want me to answer those or you want us to talk about whatever's on the chat. It's your dime.
Okay, thank you so much. You covered a lot of things there. That's great. I have actually received a lot of input though from a lot of community members. You know, parks is something that touches everyone's lives, and it was amplified during the whole COVID pandemic exponentially. So it is important to a lot of people. Number one, as we ask these questions, if it's something that you have to go back to get an answer for, please. That just tell us, and if you can send it to us, we'll post the information on our
Sure.
site, and people can come back and check it out. So, you know, don't feel that you have to come up with an answer right away.
Okay, I have some staff on with me. I don't know if they can chime in. I don't think that they can based on the way.
Well,
Eric.
we have Eric, and I think we also have partnerships, right?
Yes, I'm so excited that we have them both on. I didn't know if they were going to be able to get on because of the way we're doing this. Okay. Alejandra, are you on too? Well, she made yes. There we go. Okay.
Oh, I made it. Hello.
Hey. So I'm going to start with questions from the chat. That's a priority, okay? And then I'll go back to something that we have, and I'd like to start with, you know, Anthony, and I hope I pronounce this right, Libera Tosioli, who's the president of the Astoria Park Alliance. I just say Anthony L. But anyways, he's just saying good evening, okay? Anthony, do you have any particular questions you want to ask? Type them in. Oop. Okay, well, I guess he just wanted to say hello. Good, okay, next we have Rosalind Retwa. What about restoring adults-only lap swimming at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m.? Well, you could take that. I don't know if that was ever taken away. It might have been. I'm not sure.
Well, during COVID, you know, this has been a difficult time for us with lifeguards. I am praying that by the time we're ready to open Astoria Pool, that we have a greater contingent of them, but we will address that when we get to it. I know that we're doing at least some programming in each of the boroughs with adult swimming, and I don't have the information. Since we don't have, and this would have been at the Olympic sized pool, since we don't have one this year, it'll be at two of our smaller pools, the intermediates. We can get back to you with exactly where that will be this year.
Good, and we'll get this on our website when she
Okay.
gets the answer. Okay. And now we hear from Anthony. Okay, Anthony, great. He said, first, congratulations on your new position. And then
Thank you.
second, a word of thanks to the frontline staff in Astoria Park, to whom Astoria Park Alliance works so closely. They do a great job. Third, come up with third. Here he is. We want to ask about the diving pool plaza. Construction was completed in 2020 on that project, and yet it was never opened up to the public for use as intended. Well, I think what he's saying is the only entrance to this is from the pool itself. So it's basically just being utilized by pool patrons as a place to sun themselves. Originally, in fact, going way back when I was Parks chair, it was supposed to be a performance space. And because of funding issues and time issues, that never happened. But still, it was supposed to be open to the public with a separate entrance.
Well, there is a separate entrance for that area. I too would like to see it used for performances. We do have some issues where we would have to coordinate with how we are managing the pool, especially if we're doing late hours for swimming. But programming also, again, once again, is dependent upon lifeguards. But there's nothing from keeping us from doing other than the construction right now. But there is really, we should work towards programming. Eric, I don't know, you probably can give a little bit more background to this, but I don't see why we can't do programming, at least even when we're not using it and it's not under construction.
Well, right now it's part of the construction area to a certain degree. So we would have to wait till the construction is done. But it's definitely something that we can definitely look into when everything's done.
By the way, I'd like to add something to this. There's been recent
Sure.
discussions, hot and heavy, over the last 3 or 4 months about discussions about actually in the wintertime putting an ice skating rink in that space. So that's been something that's going around the community quite a bit. I know there's no specific proposal for that, but I know that there's a lot of public support for that. There is no skating rink or anything like that in this area, and that, given the fact that it has the bleachers already there and things like that, it would be really a perfect spot for it. So,
Well,
just wanted to
that's,
throw it out there.
I appreciate it. We love all these kinds of ideas. I don't know how, what would happen with the new liner and the way that the pool is now, but it's certainly something that, I'm open to explore.
We're talking about the diving pool, not about the regular pool.
Oh, well,
The diving pool area.
okay. So we would have to talk about exactly how that would work. I'm not exactly sure.
Anyway, it's just something to
I'm
think about.
I'm open to all kinds of creative ideas, Richard. I
Good.
mean,
Commissioner,
propose away.
Commissioner, there is on the market sort of a portable ice skating rink liner, so we can talk about that.
Okay. Is
Yeah,
that what you're talking about, Richard?
Basically, yeah. I mean, it was
Okay.
actually talked about both at Athens Square and Astoria Park. I think we personally think that the Astoria Park makes a lot more sense, and it's also just because of the bleachers and things. People love to sit and just watch people.
Sure. Okay.
And there is actually there's really nothing. There's no organized activities in the wintertime here. So
Okay. Well,
Okay,
we can look
fine.
into that with you. All right.
Jeff Martin, who is also, I know, part of Community Board 1, and I know he's also a landscape architect. Jeff said hello to Commissioner Langsam. Will the construction of Rainy Park be phased so that parks will remain open throughout the construction?
I don't know that I have an answer to that for you, Jeff, but I can certainly get back to you on that.
Commissioner,
Yeah, do you know, Eric?
that is the plan that I have heard,
Okay.
is that they are going to do it in sections. But
Okay.
I will follow up with our capital people.
Good, great, beautiful. Okay, is there anything else in the chat? I don't see it. Okay, well, here's some of the other questions that were sent to me earlier. Okay.
Okay.
This one here is, again, if you don't want to answer this, I've got no problem with that. Okay, but basically, it says, this is an issue that's on a lot of people's minds, though. It always has been. What can be done to make the expense and capital budgets more efficient so that taxpayers get more bang for the buck?
Oh, these are some big questions. You did send them.
But
I think that those are.
I mean, somebody's actually, as an example, they're discussing the cost of a comfort station in a park, which
Right.
people consider
Well,
mind-boggling, actually.
I can tell you that the mayor's office is working. It is not just the capital process for us. I mean, and they are doing everything that they can to streamline. I think that Parks has actually done a good job at this, and frankly, in some ways, some things are taking us a little bit longer due to other regulations and other permits that we now have to get from DEP and things like that. So the time frame for sure is taking a longer time. Unfortunately, also after COVID, materials and the cost of building has just skyrocketed, and so have materials, getting steel, wood. I do understand what the question you're asking, and we are working to see what we can do. Now, I do understand also what you're asking about a comfort station. We're looking into other ways in your area. We are putting in the only Portland Loo that's going in Queens is going in at Hoyt. And that's one of those prefabs, and we're going to see how that works for us and how that works for the community. Maintenance, usage, everything. And So that these are ways in which the Parks Department is looking to see if we can do things less expensively. But it's been a tough time for the past few years, and with increasing prices.
Is there any, I think, is there any use of design build, and would that help?
Yes, we are doing our first design build. Off the top of my head, I don't even remember where it is. I can get back to you, but yes, we are working with DDC on that. Yes.
Okay, and one other thing on these big issues here was, has there ever been any thought towards creating trusts within capital budgets to help maintain a specific capital project?
I don't think that I could speak to that. I don't know. I have been around a long time, but not, I don't think that I
We're
could.
just putting little seeds of thoughts in your brain here. This is what we're doing. Actually.
Okay,
So,
it's good. They're all ideas are good ideas.
okay, and as far as the pool goes, beyond what you said before, there's been a question about a more holistic capital plan that would include things like the locker rooms and the decks. It's a shame that everything wasn't done at once, maybe with a large crew, so we don't have to shut it down again.
No, I do
Okay.
get that. And I have to tell you, Astoria Pool is one of my, and I've been here a long time, one of my favorite, it's one of my favorite facilities. Astoria Park is one of my favorite parks.
Mhm.
And I mean, Eric can corroborate that for me. And, I want that locker room done so badly. I wanted it done for the pool, actually. But anyway, any help that the community can, offer up for us. We want to see the locker rooms done. We want to see it done right. We want it to be handicap accessible. It should be any and everything in keeping with the history of it, and it would be marvelous. And we've most everything else has been done already, and it's unfortunate that it wasn't, able to be done all together. But all we need is the decks on top. It would just be an incredible thing. I'm with you. I'm supportive. Anything that we can do together to community board one. I mean, we're all on board. Same team here.
Yep, definitely. Okay. Next question was sprinklers and spray showers in the district. They're not all on. Is there a timeline for this? They did not give specific examples, but I guess some of them are not on. So I'm not sure.
Well, they should all be on. Some of them operate manually. And we do have some new staff. So I'm going to let Eric answer this. The only one that I know that is currently out of service awaiting repairs is the one at Athens Square, which should be done shortly. But Eric, if you have some other information that I don't, please jump in.
No, you summed it up perfectly.
If somebody on the chat has a specific issue with one, please let us know.
Please do, yeah, definitely. Okay. Status of the field house at the south end of Queensbridge Park. Is the meeting room accessible and available to community groups?
So Alejandra, is this something that you can answer? Is this Sarah Bruno that needs to?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? My internet is a little rough right now.
Okay. Status of the field house at the south end of Queensbridge Park, the one recently renovated that used to have a tree in the middle of it. Okay.
On the roof.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yes.
Anyway. Where was I? Yes. Okay. So is the meeting room accessible and available for community groups to use?
It should be. I'm not sure if it's open to the public yet. That might be a question that we ask Sarah Bruno. I don't personally work out of that office just because I know internet can be an issue there. And in terms of space, I think they're still furnishing it. So I can get back to you in terms of whether or not it's available and open to the public.
Okay, and also now that we have you, Alejandra, okay, there's an increasing need. I know you mentioned some programming for youth. But is it possible that more programming can be developed for all parks in Western Queens, not just certain specific ones? This is very important. Particularly this year was very important because of the pool being closed. But in general, keeping our young people occupied and off the streets is priority one. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if anybody has any ideas in terms of engagement, I'm always open to all ears. Programming and community engagement events is something that I'm very particularly passionate about. So I can always leave my information in the chat, and I'm welcome to all brainstorming options and ideas that people have, so we can figure out, one, if things are possible, and two, how we can move forward from different ideas if those aren't.
Richard, I'd also suggest, I mean, the council members have been really good about giving us discretionary funding. So if there, if there's something in particular at a particular playground that we're looking for, or the community is looking for, they've really been, terrific about helping us to help with those, kinds of things. And they do give money for our recreation activities. So
this is why we're doing this here. Even if you don't have specifics, we're also letting the public know. So
great.
We're looking for that, whether it's parks or the community board or our association. We're definitely looking for information. Okay, Whitey Ford Field. We just had a cleanup there last week. It was successful, but there's a few issues that have been going on. One of them, in terms of maintenance, has been about the dogs and the dog waste, which has been a problem. People have actually been breaking into the fences to let their dogs run free, and it was closed up, and then it was broken in, and then it was reported by someone else a couple days ago that the gate was open, and then the people were letting their dogs run in there after we'd done the cleanup, which is a little frustrating. So one thing that has been brought up as a solution for this is a request to try and add a dog run beyond the right field fence. And also, the other information they wanted to know about Whitey Ford Field was the status of the seawall repair. And also, we talked about this before. The councilwoman who was with us at the cleanup talked about those temporary comfort stations and whether that would be an appropriate place for it. It's very important because right now, women's baseball teams have a big problem using that facility because they don't have a facility to go. So, I think we need to be fair, and they need to have some sort of facility. So that was one. And then also, what about the installation of dog waste stations in the parks, particularly those with off-leash?
Okay, so as far as the dog run request, so what we would like from the Parks Department, before we would do any kind of entertain a dog run, we would want a committed group. So that is incredibly important to have a committed group of dog owners who are going to maintain and watch over and care for that particular area. That is one of the main things before we will even move forward to on a dog run. A lot of times what happens is, this is all in the past, we don't have these issues anymore. We want people who are committed, who are going to police their own dogs. They're going to make sure that people pick up after them. They're going to make sure that it's well maintained. And so in order to do that, we have to have an agreement with a group. So if we can put one of those together and then we can start looking into it, then we would start looking to ask for money from, council to have it built, because they require at this point, water, proper drainage. You don't want those areas to smell. We want benches for them. I mean, really and truly, the community would want it to be a proper dog run like they have, like we have all over. So that is the way that we go about moving forward with that. And if there are people who are interested in doing this, then by all means, let's start that process.
Well, we're definitely interested. There's over 5,000 apartments going in that area, and no place to walk their dogs except that little stretch of public land there, Whitey Ford Field. This needs to be controlled. So I am pretty sure we can get something arranged, but this is important for us as an association
Okay.
too.
Okay.
Okay.
Eric, do you have anything that you wanted to add? I mean, I do know that in the community board, we do have a lot of parks that have, the canine waste dispensers. I think that we had a little bit of trouble getting ones for this year, purchasing wise, but we'll be purchasing after July 4th. After July 1st in the new fiscal year. So if in fact there isn't one there, Eric, you'd have to let me know.
You got it. And also
That would be
we're,
helpful.
and also, Commissioner, before the site went under construction, it was a dog, issue there also. So we're gonna make sure PEP puts this back on their radar.
Good.
Is there enough room for a dog run there?
We actually talked to an architect for dog runs who actually put together a preliminary proposal, and they said there is in fact.
Okay, so you are really way ahead of me on this. Okay.
No, we did this a couple years ago because we've been thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
And they happen to live in the area. So anyway, it was just the
Good.
beginning.
Okay. So
Yep.
then we're well on our way then. I'm glad to hear that. Was there another part to this question about Whitey Ford? Did I miss
Well,
something? The seawall. That's in design.
Which would be part of that, is because that would also affect the dog run. You talk about drainage and everything, so that's all part of the same package.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me just a few more questions. I want to get through these
Sure.
quickly. Okay, one thing, can you advise the rules regarding bicycles on paths, plus also what can be done about vehicles such as dirt bikes, ATVs, et cetera, that have been plaguing our parks in recent years?
Sure. So Mayor Adams has a new initiative. It's Charge Safe, Ride Safe, Electric Micromobility Action Plan. And we are a part of that. We are having a pilot the pilot just started June 20th. I thought that it was, I wasn't sure that we did this yet, but we actually started on the 20th. It will be in place for a year. So in certain parks, and I'll tell you what those are afterwards, we will be allowing e-bikes and e-scooters on park drives and greenways only.
Okay, but not the paths, not the internal paths.
No.
Because I know
ATVs, dirt bikes, those are not allowed. They're not allowed on city streets. The police department is actively working they have a whole task force that is working to, this is a citywide task force, not just in the borough, but citywide task force working on this. So, to address the issue of ATVs and dirt bikes.
Okay.
But with us, if you'd like me to tell you, I can tell you that Astoria Boulevard, the Shore Boulevard in Astoria Park, Ralph DeMarco, Hallett's Cove Playground, Hallett's Point Playground, Rainey Park, Queensbridge Baby Park are the ones that are in your area where during this pilot we are allowing on the greenways and on the closed roads, we are allowing e-scooters and e-bikes.
Do you have some sort of a flyer or materials on that?
Yes, we do. You can
Well, as
also
soon as
go to
you send that to us, that would be great.
yes,
Good.
www.nycgovparks.org. Things to do e-bikes. That is and we will send you all of this information as well.
Thank you. I'm going to go through this quickly. There's one other question we had here. It's concerning PEP officers.
Yeah.
We will be posting PEP officers in Western Queens, especially Astoria Park, and also we'll be bringing them for large events and gatherings as they come.
We do bring PEP in for large events in Western Queens. We don't have a substation in Western Queens, though. The closest substation, I guess, Eric, is Park of the Americas?
Corona
Yeah.
Park, is it?
Park of the Americas, Linden Park in Corona.
Yeah.
That's the closest substation, but still PEP does patrol your areas. And if there are specific issues, you let us know, you let Eric know, and we will request PEP assistance. We don't have, though, PEP specifically assigned to any of the parks in Western Queens.
Okay, let me go through the chat. Okay, Anthony. Okay, from Astoria Park Alliance. Here's some questions. Wood Tree Playground is one of the few parks that has never been redone. No capital plans. Any plans for capital improvements?
Eric, can you help out there while I?
I believe the basketball courts have funding, and I thought we got funding for the playground, but I know there's definitely funding for the basketball courts.
I am showing that the basketball court reconstruction is in procurement, pending legal reviews. I'm not showing anything about the playground, but we can follow up with you and make sure that you get anything current on that.
Okay, the park spaces underneath RFK Triborough have all had the benefit in recent months of being covered with temporary underbridge surfacing, as the underbridge steel has been sandblasted and painted. This is amazing for the underbridge parts, as users are no longer stepping all over pigeon droppings, which I remember that. The pigeons have been displaced. How can we work to keep this underbridge parks, the Triborough Park, B, C, and D, or A, B, and C, I think, clean and usable? That's an interesting idea.
Well,
Right.
I mean, one of the things that we just acquired was a power washer, so that we would not have to depend on a borough crew to clean the sidewalks. We'll be able to clean them more often. We also have asked, or will be asking, TBTA to see if they can do some type of bird netting like they did under the fire department substation underneath the highway. They did some type of combination netting and spikes.
That's the MTA, right?
And it does seem like it is working to a certain degree at that location. So it's something we would have to work with TBTA on.
Good. Yeah, good. The bath. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm saying that's a great answer. We should follow up with, and if you need me there for that, let me know. It's a good answer.
Beautiful.
Happy to help.
Allison Lochran Lisberger, the bathrooms in Astoria Park are dirty and rarely have toilet paper. Would like to see them cleaned and stocked more often. Just
Okay.
for your information.
Well, we will get on top of that.
Okay. And actually, they were talking about he just talked about the FDNY. So I think that's all the questions.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what? Was just starting off your term right. So
Okay.
we appreciate it.
I'm surprised I didn't get all the forestry questions.
Well, I did have it down here actually. If you have something put together, please do. I didn't want to.
I can tell you a few things. What I can tell you is,
do.
I can tell you that, we had 2,300 requests this fiscal year for just your community board. We did 187 in-house work orders that were completed. 47 were for hanging limbs removed, 38 downed limbs removed, 22 downed trees, 46 trees removed, 34 trees pruned, and 29 trees and stumps removed by contractor. We planted in the fall 148 trees and 166 in the spring. I'm not sure what other kinds of information we're in the for block pruning. Hold on, I'll tell you.
I think we're in it this year. I think it's our area this year. I think
I'll tell you in one, oh, where is it? The next cycle is 6, and that, I'm going to send you the map because it would be hard for me to explain to you the borders because I'm looking at a map. I'm happy to do that though. I will send you a list of where this is for the next fiscal year we're going into. We did 1,172 trees in fiscal year 23. That was year 5 of the program. We're going into year 6 now, and I will send you the map so that you can see what the borders are. I can describe to you.
I think it'll be
Between,
6 or 7. I don't remember.
say it again?
I think our district was 6 or 7. I'm trying to remember. Anyway.
Well, again, this incorporates, now the next cycle is from 80, it's quite large. It goes all the way from 37th Street, 19th Avenue, 21st Avenue, Grand Central Parkway. I'm going to send you the map, okay? Best way of doing things so that you can see.
One last quick question in terms of that. There was a program during de Blasio's administration where they were offering to repair all tree damaged sidewalks. Of course, I never really saw it really happen, but.
Well, you did get some of your, I got that too. You had, in fiscal year 22, you had 21 work orders, and in the next fiscal year, you had 24. So
that is happening. Okay.
It is happening. We definitely are in need of, we need to ramp up with contractors and all because that program is just, it's off the charts. People need it badly. And we have the money now for it. We just now need to put it into the contract. So,
but I will say it does start with a 311 request, though.
That's true.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Well, listen, everyone. Thank you so much, Alejandra, Eric,
Thank you
Jackie,
for having us.
and thanks to everybody who asked questions. This is the beginning, hopefully, Jackie, of a long, strong relationship.
Yes.
Looking forward to, if anybody has any questions, please, there's their information. Did you put your information in the chat for contact?
Sure.
Okay. And if
I
you
will
would
do
that, and you can just put it in the private chat.
I can figure out. Yes. Okay.
So thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it.
You're so welcome.
And I'll see you on Thursday night.
Yes, you will. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, that was great. Okay. I think that we have a very good public servant, and we're lucky to have her in Queens.